But it's me, yeah. Don't you want me like I want you, baby? Don't you need me like I need you now? Sleep tomorrow, but tonight go crazy. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with the VeVe OMI update video. Guys, if you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I love y'all. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, and subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon, smashing that super thanks button down below. Super chats as well. We'll get into that in a minute. Let's go get this bread, shall we? I have a ton of text messages. I will get to those at some point. Anyway, let's go through the OMI, right? Shall we? All right. Let's see what the OMI's at today. I know it had a knife up and then it came right back down. So we are at 0003132, down about 3.8% on the day. 459,000 in volume. We had over 1 million in volume when we had that pump yesterday, 2 days ago, whenever that was. People not feeling so hot about it today. It is down. People are voting it down 62% and only 34% positive. I'm sorry, 38% positive. Let's see where that volume came from. OKX the other day. There was several $100,000 in volume at OKX. Normally, like days like today, 137,000. Normally there is even a bit less than that, but again, we do have quite a bit more volume today than we normally have. Normally we have like 250,000. It's like embarrassingly low. Less than 500,000, still a little bit embarrassingly low, but at least that's better than normal. Let's see where the rest of that came from. I think that was actually 144 is a Sendex. Yeah, but that big volume came from OKX. Unless you had somebody that had gone on and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to use a VPN, and that's why I'm going to get OKX, just because there's more liquidity on there than there is on Base or anywhere that you can get in American exchanges. So that's probably what they did if they are American. If they are not, then they just are European or Asian person, or at least people living in that area. Should we do, hold on. 464B, that is not this person. Okay, new buyer for Definity today. Thought that was cool. No, they said it was great. That is great. That is awesome. Oh, hey, shout out to VeVe Digital Collectibles going on and liking my post. Got to love that. Let's go in and what's this title on? Ecomi Community Manager speaks on OMI. Why scarcity rules on VeVe. So yeah, we could go do that real quick. See what he has said. Let's see what we got here. It was from the Ben interview that was on Will Am I think it's a VeVe Vantage podcast. We'll go over that as well, see what other notes that he has. Foster Hill will actually be coming on the stream later, given about 45 minutes, but we do have, like I said, a bunch to go over before he gets on. And then obviously we'll go through the comments and all that jazz. Let's see what we'll go over what Ben said first, and then we'll see Foster's reaction, and then, like I said, we'll get some words from him later. Ben is exceedingly busy during his work week. Says he has a focused plan for each and every day. Then he has a focused plan for each month, quarter, etc. Says it helps him be reactive to a lot of things. When he was asked which department demands more attention, Ben says it is fairly even. Says there's a lot more opportunities than there are problems. He didn't say that VeVe was devoid of problems. In fact, a couple of things have risen to the surface, but he said arguably there is a lot more opportunity than there are problems. Again, the problems he didn't really, we'll go over it. Talking about Evolvables, then it was flat already done. Was Evolvables already done before you came on board, or was it new? Bennett said that it's mostly the latter, says that Dan is the brains behind that, says that VeVe is never short of ideas. There's a big list of things that they could do, but the challenge is just picking which ones are the best, kind of like a test over in high school. Oh, don't just choose any answer. I know both of these work, but which is the best answer? I always freaking hated that, but here we are. He says that he's working on it. I'm sorry. He was asked on the Ecomi side, saying, are you working on the Ecomi side, and how much of your time is allocated for VeVe and Ecomi? He says that he is working on it, but he doesn't have concrete updates. Working on it meaning OMI on the Ecomi side, but no concrete updates from him. Says that it is part of their future, but where he'll add the most value is growing the user base and engagement and revenue of VeVe. Most likely because he was hired as the VeVe co-CEO, that he is because he is incentivized to grow the company. It's most likely just user base and revenue on that end. And again, one hand washes the other. We'll go over that. And says not to say that they're not focused on OMI, but right now he is focused on VeVe. He won't give specifics because they haven't decided what that is. I think they have. I think he's just being a little facetious. Saying specific functionality, he doesn't have an answer because he's focused on making VeVe as strong as it can be. Again, obviously he is working on OMI, but is that where most of his time is allocated? No, he doesn't work for Ecomi. He is the CEO or co-CEO of VeVe. He says that asking VeVe is doing well without OMI, despite new features not hitting the way everyone would like. He was asked, do you plan to spend more time on OMI because of this? Meaning, again, VeVe's doing well without OMI, but if the two are supposed to be married, if they're supposed to be intertwined in the same ecosystem, why wouldn't you work on OMI if it hasn't gone up despite new things that VeVe has done? He says it is part of his plan and that what he has to do is make sure that they deliver on what people want and what will perform well. User behaviors and feedback are paramount. Perceptions are one thing and what they'll do is another. So again, I really want to hammer that home. Perceptions are one thing and what they'll do is another, meaning like, oh, hey, even though, paraphrasing here, I don't want to be putting words in his mouth, but the way I'm interpreting that is just because we're not actively talking about OMI right now doesn't mean that we're not working on it. Again, I'm just reading between the lines, but maybe he means something different. He says nobody has any idea what will be wanted 6 months from now. So the ability to pivot is vital. He was asked about OMI going down and the amount of transactions are minimal on Stacker. Ben responds by saying that there's only so much that you can talk about a crypto before regulations become a concern, but he does recognize everyone's feedback. I think this was actually done before the election. So now that the election's over and Trump, who is very pro-crypto, him and his team have been elected, it does seem that a lot of things that weren't even on the back burner, that were just off the table, might now be back on the table because, again, you will be able to do things over the next 4 years that you haven't been able to do the last 4 years because the SEC has gone power hungry and say, yeah, security, 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 trying to justify their existence, even though they haven't won any meaningful case. But again, I digress. Again, saying he does recognize everyone's feedback, which is great. Again, I really want to go over this, saying Ben responds that there's only so much you can talk about crypto before regulations become a concern. They should really be prudent about this thing, and I'm glad they are. I'm glad this is what they're doing. Marketing and advertising effort. Ben is not the head of marketing, but he says he has a fantastic marketing team. Fantastic might be a bit of a stretch, but he's definitely focused on growing, so I'll let him cook on that. Again, when you have somebody that was supposedly working in marketing saying their job has been disestablished, maybe the reason for that is because they're bringing in a bunch of new people. Maybe those new people haven't started yet. Again, just really reading in between the lines here, but y'all can interpret that for your own. It says he's working with leadership team to define a business plan. He has long-term goals, but the next 12 to 18 months, they're focused on key initiatives. Remember how I was talking about the other day about long-term or short-term investing? Long-term is 10 plus years. Is Ben going to be around for 10 plus years? Maybe, maybe not. My money would be on no. After he goes and grows this company to the moon, again, that's his specialty, is growing the company. There's some people that in Pokemon where their specialty is getting those shiny hunting. They're getting those EVs and DVs, and they're going in and saying like they're breeding for IVs. Their specialty is the one that's growing. Then there's people that are battlers. Then there's people that once the team is set in place, once the work is done, their job is to do the actual battling. Their job is to go in and take it that next step further at those tournaments. Ben is more of the former. He's the one that wants to grow the company. He's the one that wants to raise those Pokemon, give them that protein, give them that zinc, give them everything that they need to be the best that they can be. And then does he continue on after that? I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him do that because, again, I like what he's doing so far. But again, long-term is 10 years. Short-term for investing is like 3 to 5 years. He says he does have those long-term goals, but the next 12 to 18 months, they're focused on key initiatives. What are they? He says they're in need of people who are really good at one thing. They're disciplined at one specific thing. Remember in Marvel's, what's that going to be? It's not Endgame. It's Secret Wars? Yeah, Secret Wars. What happens when there's only so much room on the shuttle for humans, mutants, heroes alike, to go on to another world. Well, you have Reed Richards go and say, like, we don't just want a doctor. We don't just want like a carpenter. We want people that are multidisciplined. We want people that specialize in, like, they're not just a doctor, but they also minor and they specialize in something else as well. Ben is saying that he's looking specifically for people that are good at one thing. They don't have to be multidisciplined, but they do have to be disciplined in at least one thing, and they have to be exceedingly good at what they're good at. They have to be the best. That might cost him a little bit of money. Maybe at this point, that's what he wants. Maybe at this point, he wants to go and spend that. Because again, a lot of times when you talk about talent, what you pay is what you get. If you go to any random tattoo artist, they could be good as long as they have decent reviews on Google. They're probably going to be pretty good, and they'll charge you $500-$600 for a tattoo. And I guarantee you, you'll know a friend or you'll know somebody that'll be like, "Oh, I can do it cheaper," or "I know somewhere that can do it cheaper." And then what happens? You go and you get something for $100 and it looks like ass. Same thing happens in the corporate world. You tend to get what you pay for. Now, I'm not saying that they should go be spending the tippy top, $200,000 overpaying for certain talent, but I'm definitely saying that they should not be scraping the bottom of the barrel, and it doesn't look like they are. Again, there are needed people that are really good at one thing, specialties. Example would be PR and comms. Arguably, there's lots of opportunities out there with fans that are big into their fandom, but not necessarily digital versions of that. They might know great lore, but aren't into the KPIs of our audience. The goal is to grow awareness. The goal is to identify current gaps in the team as far as capabilities and capacities to make sure they're focused on the right things. He was asked about affiliate marketing with KOL or key opinion leaders. Ben says that is super important, that's why they're in the market recruiting someone who's done this before. Ben says that he's seen the impact this has made at other companies before, and he would like to bring that to VeVe. So again, these are just some notes that he had on there. What does our good friend, community manager for Ecomi, Foster Hill, have to say about this? Well, he says that in this interview, confirmed that OMI is a priority, confirmed that they are working on exchanges, confirmed that they don't intend to run VeVe without OMI, confirmed communication for OMI needs to improve, and I feel that they're doing that. He says that Ben is the VeVe CEO. He does not work for Ecomi. The fact that he spoke on it as much as he did was incredibly awesome. And he suggests people that are bearish to re-listen to the interview and understand where Ben is coming from, bearing in mind his position and responsibilities to VeVe. And if you have any questions afterward, he says, let him know. I will never say that. I don't need any more people of my DMs. But again, Foster be kind of getting paid for that. So, that's what he's saying. Anyway, let's go over the rest of the news we had here. All right, Trump aide Kash Patel calls for massive declassification from Trump's administration, including Epstein and the Diddy list. I cannot wait for that list. I cannot wait to see who to publicly shame. Economies, yep, going over there. A lot of people thinks that most. Oh my God, I can't talk about that. Martini guy. Oh yeah, the Martini guy has 595,000 followers over on X, saying big news from the Definity Network. Definity Network has been accepted into EY News' prestigious FinTech growth program. Anyone remembers EY, David won Entrepreneur of the Year, and Definity seems to be following in that footsteps. Shout out to Definity. Hey, out there, 100 Venom. Nope, not doing that. Not doing that. Match, Immutable X stuff. Shout out to Tina Garcia, that has achieved level 63 over on the VeVe platform. We also have here project. Okay, why scarcity rules over on VeVe. So let's go and read something from Terry Kim, aka Project Kim. He does these really interesting things every now and then. He says, Nintendo did something Wall Street called corporate suicide. They deliberately created product shortages after the gaming industry crashed. But then they sold a record of 1 million units in the US alone. Here's the genius reason why it worked and why Apple copied them and why VeVe is doing the same thing. In 1983, Nintendo faced a brutal American video game market. Retailers were terrified of stocking games after the industry crashed, so Nintendo did something unthinkable. They artificially limited their supply. Sound familiar? The video game crash of 1983 was devastating. Gaming revenue fell 97%. Major retailers swore off video games. Hundreds of game companies went bankrupt. Nintendo had to convince retailers their product wouldn't collect dust on the shelves. Their solution? The exact opposite of what everybody expected. Instead of flooding stores with inventory, they severely restricted supply. When the NES launched, Nintendo only shipped to New York City, the toughest market in America. And here's where it gets interesting. The limited release created a frenzy. Kids were begging parents to drive hours to go to New York City. Retailers from other cities were calling Nintendo, desperate to stock it, but Nintendo held firm. They wanted to prove one crucial point. Scarcity equals desirability. By restricting supply, Nintendo built massive anticipation, created organic word of mouth, and proved to retailers that their product would sell. The strategy worked brilliantly. The Nintendo Entertainment System sold 1 million units in just 5 months. But Nintendo wasn't done. They turned scarcity into an art form, deliberately undershipping popular games, making retailers fight for inventory and creating limited editions. Results were staggering. By 1988, Nintendo controlled 90% of the American video game market. Retailers who once swore off video games were now begging Nintendo for more stock. Parents were camping outside stores for new shipments. Psychological principle behind it? People want what they can't have. When something is scarce, we value it more highly, we make faster decisions, feel more satisfied with our purchase. Does this ring any bells for anyone? FOMO and crypto me. Nintendo mastered this decade before artificial scarcity became a marketing buzzword. Today, every major brand uses Nintendo's playbook. Apple's sold out iPhones, Tesla's waiting list, Supreme's limited drops. But Nintendo still does it best. 2016 NES Classic sold out globally in hours. Nintendo's genius wasn't just making great games, it was understanding human psychology. Sometimes the best way to make people want something is to make it harder to get. Want proof? People still camp out for Nintendo releases 40 years later. I know, I'm one of them. I do that shit all the time. Anyway, speaking of psychology, let me read you guys something about a little company you might know called Alibaba. And I am realizing that I have a lot of posts about this, so let me go to posts. And let me go to posts from me, and I'll show you guys. I say people don't buy what you do, but people buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. This is not psychology, but biology. Our neocortex is responsible for our rational thought and language. Our limbic system, however, is responsible for our feelings such as trust and loyalty. In a message that Jack Ma sent to his potential investors, he targets these two parts of the brain that control behavior and the part that rationalizes our feeling, part where gut decisions come from. Whether the letter was from the bottom of his heart or not, I told people I would invest in this company, not because it's scheduled to be the biggest IPO in history, because its founder is a genius. This was on September 18th, 2014. VeVe has partnered with them. When are they going to make use of that partnership? I'm not 100% sure. But just so you know, it all comes full circle. Anyway, let's go a little bit past that. Let's go to some more news here. Veterans Day. Shout out to all my fellow veterans that have served, are continuing to serve. May tomorrow, Veterans Day, be our finest hour where we eat all the free food that we can get. Yep, you have 30 million downloads for Pokemon TCG Pocket. Talked about this with Al Kahn yesterday. People really comfortable now with digital assets that they can't even sell. They have no issue. Again, 30 million downloads worldwide. I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars that they made, but Jesus, it's so good. Enforced buffer zone. Oh, thank God. You'll see excited. Shout out to Mudo Health, that sponsor the channel, saying our team will attend DevCon Bangkok next week. We can't wait to connect with like-minded people, explore partnership opportunities, and improve our position in the industry. Gotta love them. Todd McFarlane went down to $339 the other day, was bought up real quick, sold in like 4 minutes. Shout out to Decat, that's up like 20% this week. I gotta love Decat. First appearance of Madeline Pryor, aka Kitty Pryde, makes her way back onto the X-Men roster. This is Uncanny X-Men 1963. That is coming out on Thursday, November 14th. We're going to have a little while for that. There's actually not much stuff that they've announced this week. They have the Evolvables later this month. But the next thing they have is Uncanny X-Men number... First appearance of Bastion. Comes out in 2 days. You know, not here nor there. I guess we could talk about Wolverine today. I bid 10,501 MCP points, and I was not selected. A little salty, but you know what? It's my own fault. I have 1.2 million MCP points. I could have bid 50,000. That would have got me it, but I didn't, and for that, I am paying the price. Now, the price that you would have paid if you would have got it was $40. It is currently up to $54, so I like the fact that that is up 30%. Pretty legit. Pretty heckin' awesome. There was a bounty for the number 666. Not only is that the number of the beast, not only is that a meme number, but it is also the last mint number that you were going to be able to get from this. And Constant Crypto had a bounty of 2,500 on it. They paid that bounty. They paid literally 50x the floor for that special mint number. Why? Because special mint number. You can get a low mint. You can get number 21's the lowest mint. That's pretty fair. You can get the number 22. You can get the number 24 right now for $240. That is the third lowest. Fourth lowest. Sorry, doing math here. We're counting here, and it's one of the lowest that you'll be able to get. But they spent $2,500 on the number 666. Again, special mints are going to they're basically one of a kind items. These people are damn geniuses, and now I'm going to go in and say that OMI is going to outperform, but again, that's just my opinion. They made grossed about $25,000 in 7 minutes. This is what I said yesterday. Figpin sponsoring the channel, so I have conversations with CEO all the time, saying like, listen, if scarcity is king, and again, that entire Nintendo thing that I just told you all about. That's why Figpin is going to be insanely successful on VeVe. They're pretty successful by themselves, but on VeVe, if they can get, I told them, like, get as many drops as you can. Even if you don't have stuff that's ready for it right now, always say yes. Always say, like, yes, we can do it. And then worry about that part later. But getting as many drops on VeVe as I can, because they have some of the greatest licenses in the world. As long as they can get on there, they're going to make a fudge ton of money. And again, they have some of the greatest licenses in the world. Wouldn't it be cool if they got like first appearance Gohan on the blockchain? Even Videl, where he said like it moved like a snail. You couldn't give her away. Obviously, they all sold out eventually because Videl is awesome, and you're going to put respect on her name. First appearance Videl. The FOMO is I'm going to be frothing. I'll be champing at the bit in order to get one of her. And again, Krillin, same thing. He got 18. Love that dude. And understanding as people have been, correct. So something we haven't talked about yet, Aliens vs. Avengers #1. I've talked about that plenty. That is one of the greatest comic books I have read in recent history, the last several years. Aliens Avengers #2 have come out. I got a common. Energy Tour says, oh, hey, guess what? He ordered a bunch, got 2 secret rare, very jealous. Does #2 hold up to #1? I'll say it's still very good. Thoroughly, I read that so fast. I read it a couple times. It didn't have that it had a couple of really cool moments. You're this person? I didn't know that. Oh my God, Tony Stark is a beast, just absolute beast. And then just, oh my God, my feels. Oh my God, just rip my heart out. Like, am I fucking, what's his name? Excuse my language. Cut my heart into pieces, because that is what that comic book did to me. Anyway, on average, purchases based on sale or promotional code, you normally have 1,347. Last week it was 1,452. 24 on average. 24 people make their first purchase each and every week. Last week, 37 people made their first purchase. So shout out to them. Nope, not going over that. Brock saying, it's almost time. A new fish friend is nearly some of yours. Again, this is a set of 5 airdropped for free over time. Each will have its own craft. Today is the first of those crafts. 5,000 MCP points on VeVe official. +1 speedy collectible is required. And then they got that. Some other stuff that's going to happen over on Figpin, which again, shout out to them for sponsoring the channel, is hello my baby, hello my honey, hello my red tongue girl, that guy. And I don't know what this dude is. It's like a Puff the Magic Dragon thing. I don't know, but he's coming. People are pretty excited. 1111, make a wish. Ben Rose, my heckin' bay, saying thanks to crypto news. Oh, speaking of my bays, my bay. How's it going, babe?
What's going on, buddy? Good to see you.
Good to see you, friendo. Let me go in and tell people. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna re-quote this, quote it, thing. Come hang with at Foster Hilt. I won't.
Yeah, I know that guy.
This is a professional tweet, so I'm not gonna put my bay because I got to be professional about it.
But the people know. Let's be honest. I mean,
the people know.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Explicated. I love it. So there's we'll go over this. Back in 2019, I don't know if you remember, there was a plan amongst a bunch of Americans, Kyles, Karens, Chads, where people were going to invade Area 51. Do you recall this?
I do recall this, yes.
I had a plan. Me and a couple of friends that were stationed at Nellis Air Force Base, which is right next to Area 51. We were going to have a large cookout on the mountain right next to there and watch people Naruto run to their deaths. Now, obviously, this didn't happen because nobody Naruto run to their. As far as I know, it was live streamed. I don't think anyone, committed seppuku. But in Canada, is that much the same thing? Do you guys go and have like a picnic? Do you guys have like a barbecue? Be like, let's see what America's doing on election day. Let's see what they're doing. Do you guys do that? Do you guys have a watch party, or are you guys like, doesn't really affect us?
I think that U.S. politics does affect, on a geopolitical standpoint, it does affect the entire world, right? And I mean, especially with the U.S. dollar being the reserve currency for the vast majority of countries in the world, there's impacts, right? And so you keep tabs on what's happening. For us specifically, obviously, with VeVe and Ecomi when it comes to regulatory clarity and how that landscape has looked. You take a little bit of an extra read into it for sure to kind of see what's going to happen. If you were following social media and Twitter for as long as I have been, you're not surprised by the results. Social media got it right in this instance, and who they were predicting was going to win. I think for me personally, I was just really hoping that regardless of who won, the transition of power, if there was going to be one, was going to be peaceful, and that the country was going to be able to unite under whatever leadership was present. And politics can be a very divisive issue. So I was watching it. I mean, it wasn't anything. I mean, whatever was going to happen, regardless of if I was there or not. But no, we don't do campfires or cookouts. But I do know there was a lot of Canadians and in the world at large that were paying close attention, and it will be interesting to see how the regulations and the clarity reacts to this announcement. And then, I mean, obviously the markets right now are responding, fairly favorably. We had a Fed interest rate cut that kind of coincided along with this election announcement. So, we'll see how things continue to branch into 2025 and beyond. But I think, if you're a fan of cryptocurrency, then, having the administration that will be moving into power come January will hopefully be a very positive thing, as it should provide a much clearer kind of roadmap as to what is and what isn't okay in this little sandbox of ours.
Reach. Arjun says, "Can you get David and Foster on? Well, ask and you shall receive. My man Foster is here. Now ask me, can you win $1 million? Can you win the lottery? In which case, I will wait for that for forever." So we have a good old Wes saying Laugh Exchange for OMI is a big problem, but your review of Ben, I went over this before, but your review of Ben's time on the VeVe Vantage podcast, I believe, was saying that confirmed OMI is a priority, confirmed they are working on exchanges, confirmed they don't intend to run VeVe without OMI, and confirmed that communication for OMI needs to improve. Obviously, you are here, so I feel that communication is there. as far as priorities go, any hint on what is first priority? Is it stacker? Is it awareness of the token via marketing? Is it exchanges? Or is it just like, kind of up in the air for right now?
No, it's a great question. I mean, obviously, when we outlined our priorities back in January of 2024, the three major things that we had outlined were accessibility, utility, and OMI to NFT. And throughout the year, we've kind of delivered on those metrics in different ways. So when it came to accessibility, being listed on BitGet, being listed on MEXC, and then having the token being available on Base was huge for the accessibility of the token. As a byproduct of accessibility, we're also working on the self-custody wallet via Privy, which will be available on the Stacker platform for all users. So that's important when it comes to accessibility for the token. Stacker is currently working on fiat onboarding options, so on-ramping using a credit card, using your bank account, directly being able to purchase OMI from their platform. So that's something that they're working on right now, which will hopefully coincide with the end of the public testing phase of OMI to NFT on Stacker. So that has been, a big priority for us on the accessibility side. As far as utility goes, obviously earning the daily rewards that you do for holding OMI in the VeVe app currently, as well as the seasonal rewards, the airdrops that we did in season 1, earning the bronze tickets, earning bonus MCP points, working on those utilities. And then, of course, a byproduct of utility for the token is OMI to NFT, which is kind of the overarching feature that we've been working on that kind of encompasses a little bit of everything, and it is also the foundation on which a lot of the other OMI utilities will be built on as well. So, the public testing has been going well. I think Stacker has identified some things that they'd like to improve on their back end to make sure that they can deliver the most robust platform as possible to users. They've received feedback from people that have been utilizing the public testing, and then they're going to reintegrate and add in additional features for that. So, in the short term, the priority right now is to get OMI to NFT completed in order to have that roll out of public testing, because what that will allow us to do is add in a bunch of additional licensors and IP that have signed off that want to have their items accessible with OMI on the platform. So that will be hopefully a big boost to people looking forward to checking out and utilizing Stacker and the OMI to NFT ecosystem. And then I think when it comes to accessibility, as Ben indicated, exchanges are still certainly a priority for us. And of course, the fiat onboarding is also a priority. I always tell people, especially when it comes to things like accessibility, there's many different ways to achieve the same objective. And so, I think when people ask for exchanges, and this is just my personal opinion, but they're looking at it through a different lens than what accessibility tends to generally mean. I think that they look at it through more of a price action and volume perspective, which totally fair, right? But when we're looking at it, we want to make sure that people can as easily access the token as possible to use it for its intended purpose, which is utility within the VeVe ecosystem. So for us, having a one-click option for people to be able to purchase OMI directly with a credit card, or from transitioning using the base pool that's currently available and taking some of the other currencies that they own and moving them into OMI so that they can utilize it in the ecosystem or stake it for rewards or whatever else ends up coming in the future, that people can do that very easily. And kind of as a matter of process, it's actually easier for people to do that than to buy it on an exchange and move it over. Doesn't mean that we're not going to deliver on exchanges. Doesn't mean that exchanges aren't important. But at the same time, when people talk about things like marketing, you need a product to be able to market before you actually start to market something, right?
You don't say.
Well, like, we could go out right now, right? Like, we could pay Kohl's, we could, pay publications, we could do all these things. But to talk about what, right? Like, hey, this OMI token thing, it's in public testing right now. Well, what can you buy with it? Oh, like 4 things, right? And like, okay, well, are you guys going to have anything else? Yes. What's it going to be? Oh, well, we can't tell you yet. And so, like, it's just, like, if you're going to market something, like, have something that's tangible to market, right? And so when we look at marketing and we look at the next iterations is once we've moved out of public testing, well, now not only can we market on the Ecomi side, Stacker can market on their side because they have their own platform that they can discuss. And VeVe can also market because they have an incentive to market a platform that utilizes the token that also generates them fees from sales as well. And so right now we have a piece of that in place, right? But we don't have enough of it in place that it would make sense to start spending money or dedicating resources to doing that. Because for a lot of people, when you're looking to, engage or acquire a new user base, you only got one chance to make a good first impression. And so if you're going to go out there and do it, you want to have your best foot forward. And so if we're looking to reactivate kind of some of the user base that's kind of been stagnant or has OMI in their wallets or whatever, we can educate them on these little tidbit updates. Like, hey, guess what? We're starting to do this. One-click bridge. You can move your OMI from IMX over to Base and do all of these things. But when you're trying to engage a new user base, there's really no point in doing it until you have all of your ducks in a row, and then you go hard, and then people are going to absolutely find out about it. And the really cool thing as well is we have the opportunity to cross-pollinate our user bases. So, a lot of people that found VeVe come from a Web3 cryptocurrency background, but a lot of people that are starting to discover digital collecting right now are coming from physical collecting spaces that have never touched cryptocurrency at all until recently. So what this will allow us to do is that we will actually be able to onboard a lot of these traditional collectors into the space and get them to identify, what is this OMI token? Why do I want to utilize it? How do I utilize it? And so we'll have an opportunity to onboard a lot of new users. I mean, and once again, this is by absolutely no means not a confirmation of anything. I want to make that very clear right now. But I started playing Pokemon Pocket, right? It came out a couple weeks ago. It's taken the world by storm. It's got like 30 million downloads in a couple weeks, right? Yeah. So there's IPs out there that really just transcend, borders, boundaries. Everyone has heard of them. And so if VeVe starts to onboard brands like this, and, we know that anime is a vertical that they're looking at. We know that music's a vertical they're looking at. We know sports is verticals that they're looking at. And I'm sure there's other verticals that they're working on that I have absolutely no idea about. So, when we look at all of these and the opportunities that we have to introduce all of these new users, of course, targeting traditional Web3 individuals and getting them familiar with the token is important. But equally, there's tens, if not hundreds of millions of people out there that are a fan of a lot of the IPs that are already on VeVe or that will be coming to VeVe, that once they get to VeVe, because of all the marketing that VeVe is doing, we can introduce them to OMI as a byproduct and get them on board with that as well. So,
reach, kind of like what Definity's doing, where they have a institutional clients and they couldn't really market crypto at first because everyone was kind of unsure about that. They didn't have the right licenses to do it. So they did what they did, and they had foreign currencies and they had commodities. And then after they got the licenses, hey, clients, we've already onboarded. Let's get you into crypto. I imagine you guys are doing much the same. Just don't be like, is Derulo, where he says, "I'm only gonna break your heart." You are a little bit, because you're not going to decon, right?
I am not going to decon. No. So, but you know what? We got to see each other in New York. It was a good time. The fam came out in full force there, and that was a really incredible experience. And I've mentioned it before on people's podcasts and stuff. But if you guys haven't had the opportunity to go to an IRL event, it's really an eye-opening experience to be there, get an opportunity to speak with the founders, speak to people in the community that you recognize, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So, what do you make of the VeVe fam? That there's an event happening where VeVe's not officially going, even unofficially David and Dan aren't going, maybe some of the licensors are there, but what do you think that there's like a good several dozen, 50 to 60 of us just going just to hang and party? What does that say to you? What does that say about the community?
I mean, it speaks volumes about the community, right? And I think, as we've been in the community for a few years now, and as we've gotten to form relationship with people, it's really cool to watch, lines transcend and people have become, genuine friends, like genuine relationships and lifelong friendships are forming from this platform. And so it's really cool that people can come together, who are passionate in these fandoms and, have met each other through VeVe, but can go off and celebrate and be excited about their own things. They can participate in their own activities. They can do their own IRL events and do all these things. And while VeVe was certainly a catalyst for it, it's really, it speaks to the quality of people that we have in this community and their passion and excitement. And it's really cool just to watch people from all different walks of life. I mean, we probably would have never met had VeVe not come along, and it's really cool to be able to consider you a friend now and be able to interact and speak with you and see you at events, and likewise with a lot of the fam who you don't get a chance to see and wouldn't maybe have known otherwise, but then you meet these people online, you form these relationships, and then you get to continue them on in person. So I think it's really cool that VeVe had been going to decon, and obviously not this year, but people are continuing that tradition along and are just going to celebrate in, either the fandoms that they collect or the people that they enjoy, and that people can come together for that purpose.
I will say to people waiting on Bit4X, there's a buddy of mine that it took like 2 weeks for his KYC to go through, so hasn't received it. But obviously, there's other people that say, like, you got your USDT, you got their own. It just comes in tranches. You might have to wait several months, but it does happen.
Yeah, so Bit4X is certainly very slow, but they are absolutely they're absolutely doing it. So if you guys have OMI on Bit4X or any currency for that matter, make sure to request the withdrawal. It might take a little while, but it seems like they are actively returning everyone's funds, which I think is fantastic. But unfortunately, no timeframes are available. It's just, whenever they get around to it, they do it. And, I'm happy to see people are getting their OMI back, but it is a slow process.
So there's a website called cryptonews.com. And it said, evolving from common to secret rare, VeVe unveils new collecting model, Evolvables. Our CEO, Ben Rose, had said, thanks to Crypto News for telling the readers about Evolvables and VeVe Official. Great to see a broader audience hearing about the digital collecting revolution. Now, this is after Ben had posted or directed someone to post 5 new jobs, all in marketing, and a 6th one has been added on that. Have they already started, or is this coincidence?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, despite what my shirt says, I don't actually work for VeVe, and I certainly don't work for their marketing department, and nor would I want to, because they have a big job and big shoes to fill. I know that they're dedicating a lot of money, a lot of time, and resources to that department because they believe in onboarding, a lot of users, and they understand the importance. Ben coming in, he comes from a background where he understands what it's like to build businesses and companies from the ground up. So he knows where you need to allocate your resources. He knows what you need to dedicate and to do. And clearly they're looking for very strong candidates to be able to start that. But, back to, what I was saying earlier, when we talk about cross-pollinating user bases, I mean, Crypto News as a publication is talking about VeVe. Very easy transition to start talking about OMI as well. And I think that that's going to be what's exciting, is that as more of these integrations take place and as more information becomes available about how OMI can be utilized within the VeVe ecosystem, there's just going to be that natural marketing and cross promotion. It doesn't even necessarily need to be intentional. Just something as simple as in a Medium article, this item is available for trading on Stacker. People go, well, what the heck, Stacker, right? And then you start going down the rabbit hole and you look into it. Oh, what's this OMI thing, right? And so there'll be those opportunities. Same with just even having the Stacker marketplace listings in the VeVe market itself. People are scrolling through because they want to buy a collectible and they go, oh, this thing's listed for this little red circle thing. What the heck is that? And then, oh, view on Stacker, click on that. Oh, this is interesting. And so that's what's really exciting to me, is that there'll be a lot of natural transitions and promotions. But then there'll also be those intentional ones too, where obviously they're going out and contacting publications who are putting out information about a lot of these integrations that they're doing. And for me, it's a lot of fun too, because, VeVe will regularly roll out products and features that I had absolutely no idea that they were working on, just like the rest of the community. So this whole Evolvables thing was extremely cool. And I'm super excited to see kind of how it gains adoption. And I certainly see the potential for it. I think the community is being cautiously optimistic about how they look at a feature like this. And, will it be used for every drop? Will it gain a form of adoption and all these types of things? But I think, if they do it with the right drops and with the right incentives, it's going to burn MCP points, which, once again, as a byproduct, you can earn more of by holding OMI in the app, or eventually by redeeming bronze tickets for, which you can buy and burn with OMI. And so there'll be a lot of these natural progressions when we talk about features and benefits to having OMI in the ecosystem. And VeVe is going to pave the way for that, which is why when Ben says, VeVe is his priority, I mean, he's the CEO of VeVe. Like, I would be very concerned. Like, if I was sitting here right now as the community manager of Ecomi, and the entire time I'm just like, yeah, guys, and I want to do this with VeVe, and I want to do this with VeVe, you're going to sit here at some point and go, hey, what about that OMI thing, right? And so Ben's brought in as the co-CEO of VeVe. His job is to focus on VeVe. That doesn't mean that he just disregards OMI. And, I think he made it very clear when he did his interview, OMI is absolutely a priority for the company. It's not his priority because he's the CEO of VeVe, but we have people in the company that are absolutely working on features and utilities for OMI. So, sometimes I think those things get lost sometimes, or people maybe read a little bit too much into it, or they're maybe they're hearing what they want to hear or what they don't want to hear. But OMI is absolutely a priority for the company. It is a priority for Ben as well. It's just not his main priority, because his main priority is the day-to-day operations of VeVe. But as OMI is very much important in the VeVe ecosystem, there is that day-to-day byproduct of him focusing on OMI as well. But we also have a lot of other people that get to focus on that as well. So I think he should continue to do his job, and he's been doing a great job so far.
Agreed. And again, so we've had, obviously most of the hires are going to be for VeVe. I don't think we've heard about Ecomi hiring or firing anyone recently. Are you adding? Are you adding by subtracting? Is there any marketing that you plan to do, or is it just like VeVe's on? They'll take care of it.
No, I think definitely eventually, once we get some more integrations of features and different things in place, I think there'll definitely be some room to expand our offering when it comes to the resources that we have available. We're very fortunate in that, we have teams internally that we've been able to work with who, work for VeVe, but also help us as well. We have Stacker, who have multiple dedicated teams that they have working on features with OMI right now. So, we have several people who are working on OMI at any given time. I think when we look to expand how we communicate and present information when it comes to OMI, we'll definitely probably be looking on expanding that at some point as well. But in the back end, for the developers and people that we do have working on OMI and blockchain devs and all that kind of stuff, I know people feel like they don't exist because they never get a chance to see them. But as someone who talks to and interacts and works with them every single day, they definitely do exist. And so it is nice to have those resources available to us. It's just making sure that we're using them in the most effective way to deliver on the utilities and features that people are looking for. And I think, having Stacker as well has been extremely helpful with ensuring that we're streamlining and dedicating resources for OMI specifically. And I know that they're also going to be working on some OMI specific features for us and that they're creating as well, outside of even what you would get on VeVe or would be utilized for VeVe. And so I'll let them get into that and announce that when they are ready to do so. But yeah, no, we definitely have the resources and we're definitely not downsizing at all at this point. Now, are we actively adding on this exact day? We're not, but we will be getting to that point, I'm sure.
Can't heckin' wait. One of the things that, going back to the Evolvables, David Yu had gone on and posted chicken with a little bit of an egg, chicken without the egg, and then the chicken in general. Have you seen the Evolvables?
Have I seen like the video that they released about it?
No, just the drops in general. Like, oh, this is what we're doing.
No.
Oh, it's gonna be a surprise to you too, dude.
All this, this is the thing, and I want to make it like when I tell people I don't work for VeVe, they're like, yeah, but he's the truly, I don't, unless it has a direct integration with OMI. And even then, sometimes I'm the last person to find out because they'll build it and they don't want me spoiling it. So they'll let me know at the 11th hour, hey, we're talking about this tomorrow or next week. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I can say things with a straight face or say that I'm not lying because I don't know, right? And so, no, with the Evolvables, I have no idea. I think they said, was it November 30th is the first drop, I think?
Yes.
I think they announced, or at least I hope they announced that publicly. I'm pretty sure I read that in a Medium article. And so, but what the drop is or what they're doing with it, I have absolutely no idea. But I'm super excited about it because it in my mind anyways, and I could be wrong, but I think one of the issues that people have when they're collecting on VeVe is that, blind boxes people aren't always a fan of because they want to buy, the most scarce item. But then it doesn't sell out for VeVe. So it's not a revenue generator. It's not good for the licensors. It's not as exciting as a product. So then they try and balance and play with, do we increase the mint run or do we decrease the mint run, but add a chaser? And so, what is the chaser? Well, if the chaser is the thing that no one cares about, but people need to buy it to complete the set, then it doesn't really do a lot. Or, with the most recent drop with Finding Nemo is like, well, Nemo's the chaser. It actually did sell out, which was really interesting.
Mark is so salty about that.
Yeah, but now people are super upset because Nemo is like $700 or whatever he is, right? So it's really interesting to kind of watch all these market dynamics play out. But with Evolvables, at least from my understanding of it, right? Like you start at $20 for the common, and you're going to stay with the common if you want, but what you're minting. So if you spend the $20, you know unequivocally, I'm spending $20 to buy this item. Whereas with the blind box, like you might be trying to do it to get the secret rare, you get the comment, you're like, oh, I wasted money because it's not what I wanted. But with this, it's like, hey, you're buying it to buy it. But if you do buy it and then you want to get the uncommon or you want to get all the way up to the secret rare, you got to buy multiples of each of those as you go through. And so it's really interesting. And I'm sure that they've game theoried it. They've worked at the finances, and they kind of referenced it in the article too, right? Like to get all the way to the secret rare, I think it was like $43, which, is an average price of what you pay for, a lot of the collectibles, like the Wolverine that came out today was $40, right? So, I think they've really put a lot of thought into this, and having to burn MCP points to move through each of the rankings, I think is super clever because, there's some of us that, have saved up MCP points for years, but now we have an abundance of them. So VeVe needs to come up with creative ways to remove MCP from circulation. And then at some point we'll hit a supply shock where people will go, wow, I don't have enough MCP points to do XYZ on the platform that I'd like to do. So holding OMI on my Stacker wallet will earn me additional MCP points, or, oh no, I really need to get to a certain level today to access a certain drop or be eligible for a certain feature or whatever else they work on. Hey, I need to buy bronze tickets with OMI and then burn them for MCP points. And so there's just a lot of fun ways and integrations that they can come up with. So
I feel you on that. On the, oh God, I can't wait. When they go and they give you something on the 11th hour, do you have to like study on that? Do you have to go in and say like, oh yeah, I have now 2 hours worth of material to cover and I have to study up on that and I have 6 hours to do it? Or is it they give you a little more time? They give you bullet points? How do you do it?
Yeah. They generally give me a little bit more time than that. They'll give me the bullet points, and I have direct contact and access to the various teams. So if I ever have conversations, I can hop into huddles on Slack and stuff like that and ask people, hey, why are we doing this way and stuff? Because, a lot of the times, the team internally ends up being the first litmus test for a feature or idea that's being promoted, right? And so someone will have an idea with the team and then they'll come back to, hey, what do you think about us doing this? And so what's really cool in my position is I'll have people reach out to me, not as much now that MC and all of them are on the VeVe side, but for a while I was having VeVe people reach out to me and, hey, we have this idea for this feature that we want to do. You've been in the community for multiple years. What do you think people are going to think about this? And so being on social media as much as I am, like watching recurring themes and ideas come up, I can go back to them. And even outside of the ideas and things that I'm bringing as the community manager to the teams, hey, noticing this common theme, noticing people are looking to have this feature or this idea implemented, the team is coming to me and they're going, hey, what do you think the community is going to think about this? And then I can have tailored conversations with groups in the community, or I'll just throw out random thoughts and then I'll just read the comments about how they're perceived. And then I'll go, okay, this is how this is being. And then I can pass that information back and forth. And so, it's a lot of fun to get those ideas, but no, they do give me time to be prepared. And obviously, I want to be as familiar as I can with all the features and integrations that we're working on with OMI. I like to think that, they don't keep secrets from me, but every now and again they'll come and they'll surprise me with something, and I'll be like, you sneaky buggers, you still had it going. So that's the fun thing for me is being with the company. I don't get the pure joy of waking up every day and going, is today the day that the world changes and whatever happens in the company? But on the VeVe side, I do get that regularly. So when Evolvables hit, and I got the post notifications on for VeVe every time that they put out a tweet. You guys can look. Well, actually, you can't see likes now, but VeVe can see. I'm always one of the first 3-4 people liking them because that notification goes off and I'm reading it right away because it's fun to watch them grow and evolve. No pun intended, but yeah.
Cool. I don't know if this is something that is part of your job description. I assume it is, but when you put on that tweet that I was reading before, saying if you have questions afterwards, let me know. You're just inviting people to go into your DMs, and I would not be able to take that. How do you go and balance that? Like, how many messages you get a day? Do you have okay, I'm going to answer 20 people today, and then you'll just never catch up? What goes on in your DMs outside of me giving you crap a lot of
feed pics? No, yeah, no. I do get quite a few DMs regularly, and sometimes what I'll actually do with people is I'll actually just say, hey, can you ask me this question publicly, right? Because what I notice in the biggest I hesitate to use the word issue because it's not a problem, but one of the themes that I noticed the most is that a lot of people have very similar questions. So it's about the quality of how we disseminate information, right? Because I can spend all day answering the same question over and over on Discord, on Telegram, on Facebook, on Twitter. Like I can be all over the place, right? Be in YouTube comments and stuff, but it's like I'm just repeating myself, right? And so and so at one point I was literally got to answer someone's question, and then I get the question 4 more times, and so I was just literally copy and pasting the published tweet to people, and then people were getting mad at me that I was copy and pasting the answer to them because they're like, well, this feels very like informal and like you're not giving me the time. And so like, I mean, I only have so many hours in the day, so I try and give everyone the time of day as best as I can. And so and I do value the feedback that people give me. You know, a lot of people will reach out to me and say like, thank you for taking the time to respond to me. I try and respond to as many people as I can, even if I don't necessarily agree with the premise of your question or with the observation. The only time I tend to not respond or I'll push back a bit is when people present their opinion as a fact and it's factually incorrect. And so that bugs me a little bit because we are working very hard. So, you know, people will say certain things and it's just like, that's factually not true. And here's the 8 reasons why it's not. Copy paste this, and whatever. But then you just end up down the rabbit hole of being, trolled and stuff. But no, I mean, I invite people to ask questions because, like I said, if someone is asking the question, the chances are someone else has a very similar question and they were either going to ask it themselves or maybe they don't feel comfortable enough to ask it. But if I respond, then at least they get that information and answers. And, as a part of that, we're working on our communication strategies. We're working on streamlining how we present information and how we give information out to the community. And I think one of the problems that we have right now is, we have our Medium articles, we have the Twitter, we have our Discord announcement channels and stuff. But VeVe does a much better job at how they disseminate information. They have email chains. They have information that they put out. They have a website that's, far more put together and robust than ours. And so I think as a part of kind of our plan over the next quarter or so, it's going to be about revamping not only our communications on how we present information, as well as the amount of information that we're presenting, because that's also something that we're working to improve. But also working on our written communication. And so that if people have questions, we have an FAQ or we have somewhere where we can reference them or point them to where they can go ahead and access that information all in one place so that people aren't having to, if people miss this interview with you, Randy, and then, a piece of information comes out tonight, well, how do they ever hear about it, right? And so just about working on that quality of information and making sure that everyone has the same access to that information to keep up to date on what we're doing.
Thank you. So you're not going to Decon. I'll be going to Decon. I'll be going to Columbia just afterwards. And Wendy didn't tell me that there are hippos down in Columbia. So now I'm kind of scared of being trampled. But, we'll see where that goes. When's the next time the people will be able to see your face in person?
I was about to say right now. I can turn on my camera if you want. That's a great question. I know VeVe hasn't announced their lineup for 2025 yet, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of events. But they have one. I mean, maybe, maybe, right? None of these gotcha questions. We had a deal. Yeah, I mean, obviously, New York Comic Con every single year. That's a place that I really like to be. I love the family, being there, and it's a 7-hour drive for me, but it's worth heading down there and hanging out with everyone. And so I'll definitely be there next year for sure. But I think ideally, at some point we'd have some Ecomi representation at some events as well. Comic Cons, like people always go, like people. I mean, I get it, right? Like people want OMI to be promoted, and I fully understand that. But people, why did OMI have a booth at Comic-Con? OMI is not a brand or IP. It's like it's a crypto project, right? So it's like, but like there's crypto 2049. Like there's different physical events that I think having that representation would be important at. So I think as we we move into 2025 with some of the the integrations that we're working on, even outside of OMI to NFT for the broader ecosystem for the token, there'll definitely be some incentive to get that information out there to people. So, I think that we'll, be looking at some of those physical events for 2025, and whether it's me that's there or whether it's, David and representation from the Ecomi leadership side, having that representation in general, just to get the word out there about what OMI is. But once again, if you're going to be talking about something, especially something that's a utility token, you need to be able to very clearly articulate what that utility is. And we're very close to that now with the integrations that we have with Stacker and their OMI to NFT, but we're not there yet. We're almost there. And I think by the end of this year, people will see that we're there, but as of today, November 10th, we are not there, which is why we're not marketing it right now. But it doesn't mean that we will never market it, and it doesn't mean that the token has been forgotten.
So there's some questions, and it could be with that. Well, first off, I would say the Trinity, you, David, and Puddin go into that thing, and that would be great. Just like you three walking down the ramp, whatever music we put out to Hallelujah, It's Raining Men, something like that. People going crazy. I think that'd be fun. But there's always, as people have, let's say a lot of women have like their wedding day, like the happiest day, they live happily ever after. But then there's always the day after that. Obviously, at some point, and I'll try to be careful, OMI either goes to zero or it does really, really well. I'm putting my money that it does really, really well. But after it does that, after it goes in the trajectory that I think it goes, there's some questions on what comes next, whether it's for the rest of the team, whether it's for the people that are invested in the project. Do they sell? Do they get out? Gary Gensler's stepping down, and he's likely going to get a job at whatever crypto company that he was trying to just attack the last several years. For you, however many years down the line, it could be next year, it could be 5 years from now, however long you stay with us, there's going to be a time after VeVe and Ecomi for you, at least professionally. Maybe you ride off in the sunset and you become a carpenter and you make chairs. I don't know. But if you do decide to say in the Web3 world, where would you go? Would you do something yourself? Would you go on and just work at like a Binance or something? What would you do? Have you thought about it?
That's a great question. I think I still have a lot to learn in the wider, Web3 and crypto space. And I'm certainly not going to sit here and pretend like I'm an expert when it comes to, crypto, blockchain, or anything like that. I think for me, what's always stood out is that I'm not the smartest guy when it comes to crypto, but I am very passionate and I'm very dedicated, and I have an interest and willingness to learn. And I think that that can, in a lot of cases, supersede, right? Like you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the motivation to do anything, you're not necessarily going to be successful. But you can not be the most talented person in the world, but have that motivation and put in that time. And so for me, I consider myself a student, and I was never someone that loved learning in school. And I think it was just because you were told what you needed to learn. And I didn't like that. I was a bit of a maverick. I was like, I'm going to learn what I want to learn. And because you're telling me to learn it, I don't want to learn it. But when it comes to crypto and blockchain and the possibilities that it opens up, I think for me, I just want to continue to learn and continue to absorb information. I think that there's so much potential and possibility outside of the financial aspect even. I mean, obviously there's that as well when it comes to cryptocurrency as a whole, because it's so new still. I mean, when you consider the fact that it's really only been around for just over a dozen years and has really only started to gain some mainstream adoption in the last year or so, there's going to be so much technology and so many opportunities that are built out as a byproduct of what blockchain technology allows. And even something as simple as when you look at NFTs, understanding non-fungible tokens, understanding smart contract technology and the real world implications of medical records, of mortgages and property stuff that proves ownership in the real world. I think that there's going to be companies and businesses built out yet that we couldn't even imagine. If we were having this conversation in 2014, we wouldn't have been talking about digital collecting, right? Like this was an entire industry that's been created in the past, 6 or 7 years that has never existed before. And I feel like there's a lot of areas and sectors that exist now that have not had that digital blockchain component tapped into it yet. And so I just want to remain open-minded. I mean, this job was never one that I had intended to receive. It's never one that I had sought out. But now that I'm doing it, like I said before, I couldn't see myself doing anything different. So, where I end up in, whether it's a year or 5 years or whenever it is, I have no idea. But right now, I just feel like I still have so much more to learn and to grow. And so once this job stops becoming exciting and I lose the passion for it, would probably be the time that I walk away, regardless of where we're at with things. And so that's why, in some ways, like it's exciting to deliver on things, but I do worry: do you get to a point one day, whether it's 3 years, 5 years down the road, where you've delivered everything that you've set out to deliver, and you just go, well, what's next? Like, we did everything we set out to do. And so right now is the fun part, because it's about the journey. It's not about the destination, because once you get to the destination, you're there and it's over. And so,
did you just quote Britney Spears in Crossroads?
Did I?
It's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Oh my goodness. Yikes.
Greatest chick flick ever.
There you go.
OBL messaged me yesterday because I was talking with Al about something, and I don't even know what we were talking about, but I found my opportunity to say, like, am I Miley Cyrus in 2009? Because you've got the best of both worlds. And I guess OBL really liked that. She's like, bro.
I love that. I love that.
So there's Muslims pray to Mecca multiple times a day. One of the most holy lands in the world is Jerusalem. Felipe B is asking, have you got the chance to visit the holy land of Ecomi, the offices of Taiwan or New Zealand?
I have not had the opportunity yet, but at some point, I'd like to take my wife to New Zealand, because it's somewhere that we actually wanted to go for our honeymoon. And then just never got the opportunity because she was pregnant immediately afterwards. So we weren't able to travel. And then the whole 2020 pandemic happened. And so we've never had the opportunity to get out there. But it's somewhere that I would love to get out to and meet, because we do have there's a lot of local employees that work for VeVe and Ecomi that are local to the New Zealand area. So I would love to be able to meet them, because I've interacted with them, but they don't necessarily make it out to North America for the events. But people that I've interacted with and that I've gotten to know and stuff. So I would love to get out there and check it out and see everyone. And yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I haven't done it yet, Sweet. But I definitely will.
Jens Leeson saying, I tried sending my OMI to my Ecomi web wallet today, but I couldn't, as the address isn't visible anymore. General ease of utilities. Oh, there was someone that asked about the Ecomi wallet. I can't find it, but basically, VeVe Viral has said, as long as you enter your seed phrase elsewhere in another wallet, you'll have complete access to your tokens, no sending required. Saying yes, they could spare people the heart attack and make it clear that the wallet is no longer active. I guess the Ecomi secure wallet.
So the Ecomi secure wallet is active. Okay. I think that this message is in relation to the VeVe web wallet, which your address is no longer visible on. And the reason for that is because, so if you know your VeVe web wallet address, because you've made deposits there before, you can still deposit there. Like, it will still work, but they've disabled the functionality of viewing it. And the reason for that is, we're very close to the one-click bridge where you're going to be able to migrate your tokens from IMX over to Base. And we don't want to encourage more people to put their OMI on VeVe, because we want people using the Privy wallet on Stacker and earning rewards via self-custody. So by removing that option, basically the only option at this point is to withdraw. And that's what we want. We don't want more people putting OMI on VeVe. We want people taking OMI off of VeVe and self-custodying it and still earning the same rewards that you would earn had you held it on VeVe. And to be clear, because I've mentioned this a few times, but it kind of gets misconstrued sometimes. When we talk about moving OMI off of the VeVe platform, it has absolutely nothing to do with wanting to distance the utility of OMI from VeVe. That's absolutely not the intention whatsoever. Allowing self-custody for rewards, people continue to ask for self-custody and interoperability for both the OMI and the collectibles. It's something that Web3 has been asking for 3 years now. And so we're in a position now where we can facilitate self-custody for the token currently. But for us, having that ability ensures that when we market to a Web3 audience, they don't go, wait, I don't even control the keys to my crypto, because as everyone knows that's in Web3, not your keys, not your crypto. Look at the Bitforex situation. Look at FTX. Look at any other exchange that's had issues. If you don't control the keys to your crypto, there are inherent risks. So by us encouraging people to hold their tokens on the Privy wallet, there's nothing to do with us saying, hey, OMI is not going to be used on VeVe anymore. You're not going to be able to earn rewards. You're still going to be able to earn rewards. You're still going to be able to list collectibles. You're still going to be able to buy and sell utilizing the OMI token. And when additional features are added, you'll be able to do those as well. But we're making sure to do it so that you have the self-custody. And as well, there's regulations that come to play. There's app store restrictions that come to play with having crypto on it. And so this just really solves like 8 different problems at once by us doing this. But the problem that it does not solve is separating the two. That is absolutely not what is happening whatsoever, to be clear.
I love that. People should clip that. I know you got a busy evening, so let's end it here for right meow. Let's go talk off camera for a bit, and then I've been fasting for like 20-ish hours because Veterans Day tomorrow, all the free food. I can't heckin' wait.
Also, thank you for your service and for everyone, whether they be in the fam or otherwise, for their service to their respective countries, whether you're from the US, Canada for myself, or wherever you reside. Thank you to everyone who has played a role in keeping their families, their friends, their countries safe. So huge respect to everyone that does that. And I'm glad to hear that you're fasting, but that you'll be hopefully, getting together and celebrating with a lot of the people that you spent time in service with.
I might have a heart attack tomorrow. I might not survive. It's a very real possibility.
Yeah.
Anyway, shout out to Sandbox for winning the giveaway yesterday. Everyone, thank you for joining. For the 500 people that are here, everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. Foster, thank you.